All right. Well, welcome back. We're going to, I'm going to reconvene the Lane County Board of Commissioners meeting for our afternoon session of September the 20th. We have, I guess, one item to work through here, so we'll get started with it. It's Public Works. Let's welcome Dan Hurley, our Waste Management Manager, to the table. Where's comfortable, and we'll take up Order 16-09-20-05 in the matter of implementing operational changes to solid waste services and amending Chapter 60 of Lane Manual to revise solid waste fees, LM 60.875. And with that, good afternoon, Dan.
Thank you, Chair Stewart. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this afternoon. So today I'm requesting your approval of a set of recommendations. There are 5 recommendations, and these are identical with one minor change to what you saw on August 16th, and I'll speak to that one. These 5 recommendations here are intended to close what remains as a $1 million gap in our budget. And as you're all aware, this started out of a conversation back in 2014 when we were looking at a $3 million gap in the Waste Management Fund budget. At that time, the board approved about a 12.7% increase, which closed the gap about halfway, and the board directed to look at ways to reduce costs. We entered into a contract with a solid waste consulting firm, R3, and presented a set of recommendations for reducing costs for an additional $1.5 million. And before that, we brought those recommendations to our stakeholder group. We also had 4 public meetings around the county. We received about 200 emails and phone calls, and we also reached about 200 people through those public meetings. The result of that was there was quite a bit of pushback against those recommendations, particularly around closing transfer stations, out of concern for illegal dumping and other various concerns. So on August 16th, I brought a second set of recommendations to you for your consideration, which balances fee increases and changes to the operation across the structure. There's one change on recommendation 2, an oversight on my part. I'm recommending that in addition to increasing the tonnage rate at transfer stations and keeping it flat at the landfill next year, July 1st, that we also increase the compacted cubic yard fee. That's a fee that's only used in Oak Ridge and McKenzie Bridge where we don't have scales, but for equity in the system, I think it makes sense to increase by about the same percentage in Florence as in McKenzie Bridge and all our sites outside of Short Mountain. So that's new. The other recommendations you've seen before, so increasing fees on our 4 most commonly used volume self-haul rates. The one I just spoke to of increasing tonnage beginning July 1st, but keeping the landfill rate flat. Excluding commercial garbage haulers from Glenwood and directing that straight to the landfill, closing the Mapleton transfer station, and then reducing hours at McKenzie Bridge and Swiss Home to make those Saturday-only sites. So if you approve this set of recommendations, this will close our budget and it will complete phase 1 of our work with R3. We're already moving forward with phase 2, which is the development of our solid waste master plan. We had a public meeting last night at the City of Eugene Atrium. We had about 25 people there, kind of a smaller crowd, but they were actively engaged and it was a good conversation. We have also had a municipal meeting. We had that yesterday, and we're having our stakeholder meeting right now. And then we have 2 more public meetings to kick off the public input into that process.
Okay. Questions for Dan? Commissioner Lycan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not necessarily a question, but Dan, I just wanted to say thank you. Especially as far as reaching out to the citizen side, and especially in the rural areas. I know Commissioner Stewart clearly spent some time out in the rural areas as well with you, but I would hope that people really get a bird's eye view. Really, you're from a customer service standpoint. In the private sector, we're always hounding about customer service. Well, I think you've done a yeoman's job. And I want to say thank you very much for that. You get consultants' reports, you get articles written in a paper or something like that, and they kind of blow things out of proportion as usual because they need to sell their paper. But I think overall, I think just the reaching out to the citizens, getting the input. I mean, that's really what it came down to from my perspective. You're gathering the citizens' input in particular areas of Lane County, and I think you deserve a lot of credit for this, about where we are today. And as I mentioned to you, I think in the first of the year, we have an opportunity, I think, to go visit the folks in Douglas County and see, because of the fact that, talking to Commissioner Freeman, their capacity is 10 years and before they are maxed out. And so there's an opportunity for additional partnerships as well. But no questions, just really a good, just a compliment to you, and really appreciate your efforts on this.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I really appreciate the board's support and guidance through this process. I think we've arrived at something that's palatable for the community and gets us on solid footing moving forward.
Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Dan. I agree with every word that Commissioner Lycan just said. And Aaron, thanks for being here today for this, maybe the final chapter in what's been a long haul. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
So you're smiling, so that's a good thing. And I think that's characteristic of what happened throughout this entire process, Ms. Mograhiski, is that people voiced their concerns. We got lots and lots and lots of input. Dan and staff were responsive, came up with a plan working with Aaron and with other halls and with the public, and found what is ultimately a win-win-win situation. And so once again, good job. You stand back and look at how things move smoothly and quickly. And this is an example of how it can happen. While it took a long time to get to the point where the deliberation started, once you got the information, amassed the information, you acted definitively and made it happen. So I just did have one question, and that's the small change at Mackenzie. Compacted. Renee Jackson had been a little bit vocal about things, really pretty positive in pretty much all of her testimony. Is she aware of the compacted change, or does that affect her at all?
She is aware. I emailed these recommendations out to our stakeholder group several weeks ago before our Finance and Audit Committee.
Okay. And
No feedback.
So it sounds like we're moving forward, ready to pass the order. Okay, great.
And that one change only results in, it's less than $2,000 in income, but I think it's just an equity issue.
Mr. Bozovich.
Thank you. So, yeah, I support that recommendation to also increase those rates along with the other ones, because the intent was that, if you go haul directly to our landfill, we're going to keep your rate flat, and anywhere else, we're going to increase your rates to support the cost of that system of transferring the trash. The one thing I just want to advocate for in supporting these recommendations and moving forward is that Waste Management needs to pay really close attention to the condition of the roadway out to the tipping deck and the landfill. I've heard concerns about whether that's going to become, with the additional traffic, become more potted than it may be, potholed than it already is, and that, slowing the traffic down to have to deal with a rough road is going to be even worse. And so everything we can do to improve the traffic flow for those haulers that are direct hauling, and try and at least make it a reward that if you do haul directly to the landfill, you're going to get in and out of there quickly and efficiently, and not beat your truck to hell on the haul getting out to the tipping deck, and you're not going to be waiting in line behind a bunch of other trucks to make your dump, and those sort of things. If we can do everything within your ability and resources to keep that moving quickly and efficiently for those haulers that do direct haul, I think that'll maybe alleviate some of the concerns about the extra drive time. If we can keep that really efficient, smooth, and easy on the equipment. So it's something we need to just pay real close attention to. Ultimately, as we move into phase 2, I think we need to seriously look at our ability to get ODOT to let us have on and off ramps at Dillard Access Road. So, which would improve that length of time for the haul too, and also get those big trucks off of Highway 99, which is a critical bike route connection down to Crestwell. So, agreed.
That's it.
Good work, though. You know, it was really well done.
Commissioner Parr?
Just ever so briefly, Ms. Mokryski, ultimately, as the Solid Waste Authority, we are the stewards of the customers who use our facilities and use the services that we provide. We are the stewards. Anyone else may try to usurp that title, but we are the stewards of that. And ultimately, we're not only the stewards of the people who today are relying on us to dispose safely and securely and sanitarily of their waste into the future, long, long into the future. And as we look at different ways of handling solid waste and different ways of reducing solid waste, we're the ones who, this body, whoever the 5 sitting here happen to be, are the ones who really, this is where the buck lies as far as being the stewards of people's trust regarding this. Really, it's a detail of life that people would rather not think about. You put it in the garbage can, that's the last you want to ever hear about it. And that's what we do. We make it so that people can put it in the garbage can, and that's the last they ever hear about it. And so we'll be doing that not just today, not just next week and next year, but for generations to come, based upon the decisions that we're making today. So congratulations on a great process, and I'm pretty excited about something that I know Commissioner Sorensen is excited about, and that is different ways of reducing trash, and let's just not have garbage in the future.
Well, Dan, I too want to say thank you. When you look back at this process, and there was a couple times in it that probably wasn't very comfortable when we're out receiving telephone calls and dealing with upset citizens. But if the board would have just increased the fee back 2 years ago, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to see how we can operate more efficiently. We weren't able to come up with the entire amount. Well, we could have, but we didn't want to compromise the system that we had. So I think saving $1 million and trying to adjust as Commissioner Bozovich said, really adjust some of the cost to the actual transportation of waste. I think it's starting to set us in the right direction. And I think when you look at it's about a 6% cost savings to the entire $1 million, whether we have an $18 million budget or so, and we save $1 million operations, I think that's good work, and I appreciate staff going through it, and I do believe it was worth it. And even though we took a little bit of flack and that through the process, it was a good process, and I appreciate it. Commissioner Sorensen?
Am I speaking loud enough? Because, there's so many people in this room that I just want to be being heard. So I'll raise my voice a bit for those of you in the back of the room. One thing that I think Mr. Hurley deserves a great deal of credit for is that we started this out, and this was very controversial. It really was. And now we have one person who apparently, are you looking for a circuit courtroom to watch an interesting trial, or no? But we have one citizen here to watch this, and I know we have folks in the greater community watching us on television, but seriously, the number of people that were writing us and were objecting to various things, I think we owe a lot to Mr. Hurley for his tenacity and leadership in order to stick with this and keep answering questions and keep reassuring people that their views would be considered. And I'm under no illusion that everyone is going to be happy with this. There will be people not happy, and yet I think that the process that was used here by both the consultant and Mr. Hurley and the board really kind of gets to everybody got their say. Maybe not everybody's happy, but the fact that we're here in a public meeting that's been advertised for quite a while, just making this decision without a lot of angry people in the room at least, I think speaks to taking the time to do it right. So thank you so much.
And I think that's what the Register Guard article will say tomorrow too, that a lot of not angry people. Oh wait, never mind. Forget it.
I think that the reporter may be sitting in the watching. You can see a bit more by.
All right, so
Good.
further comments or questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve the order 1609-20-05.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Passed unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
And just a point of order, do we have to do this by ordinance at some point? Or just the fees themselves?
I think it's just the fees.
Okay, so the approval of the plan is in order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, well, how about review of assignments?
I have a World War I memorial and a Truman museum to visit. Other than that, that was a delayed reaction. Other than that, I didn't have any assignments.
Truman was really good too. Because we were there with a bunch of World War II vets that brought in a Truman impersonator who was spot on. The guy was just, and he never wrote character the entire time. And he posed with the vets with the Dewey Wins newspaper. Wearing the same outfit and everything. It was great. The vets loved it, although my father-in-law didn't like Truman that much as a president.
He had to suck
Was
it
a
up.
Republican, but he sucked it up for that, yeah.
All right.
Just one last thing, the Vietnam Moving Wall will be here on the 29th. It's going to be in town, I think, for 4 days, over in the west end of Alton, Baker Park.
Yeah, like next week, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, just before we close, to highlight, or remind us of our rest of our week, the Board of Commissioners will start out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with a tour of youth services. And then we will move at some point over to the jail and tour the jail. So that'll be our meeting tomorrow. And then on Friday at noon, there's a budget committee meeting scheduled in this room. And just for those folks that don't know, I will attend by phone because I'll be in an ONC meeting in Lincoln City during that day. So that's kind of our itinerary the rest of the week. Is there any other business? Commissioner Bozick?
Just a clarification on the tours tomorrow. Is there going to be group transportation, or are we providing our own transportation between facilities?
They said they had a van.
Did they?
Yeah, I'm going to drive separate.
I was planning on driving separate, and there's about 30-minute lag time after the
Okay.
tour, so I figured I could just park here in my parking space and walk over to the jail.
That's okay. That's fine. I just want to know whether I was supposed to meet somebody somewhere before the youth services and get in a van to go there and then come back and then whatever. So good.
You can double check with Diana, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Then I will see you guys at youth services in the morning.
Okay. No other business? Or adjourn. Thank you.